Now, Minister Mauro Vieira.
Oh, thank you very much, Mauricio, for giving me the floor. Distinguished Sherpas, heads of delegations, ladies and gentlemen. It's an honor for Brazil to hold the rotating presidency of G20. It's also an honor for the Brazilian Ministry of Foreign Affairs to host its first Sherpas meeting here at our Foreign Ministry, the Itamaraty Palace, one of the most iconic Brazilian landmark buildings designed by the architect Oscar Niemeyer. Brazil's G20 presidency is part of a sequence of 4 developing countries chairing the group. I highlight this point to underscore that developing countries have been taking up growing responsibilities in the search for solutions for the many challenges of our times. We must tackle problems that range from geopolitical conflicts to hunger and malnutrition, from climate change to risks of new pandemics, from high inflation to the rise of poverty levels. As in the past, the world looks up to the G20 for last solutions to shared global challenges. The G20 brings together a substantial share of the world's GDP and population. More importantly, it brings together a broad range of developed and developing economies from all regions of the world, blurring the North and the South, the East and the West divides. The inclusion of the African Union in that sense greatly adds to the bloc. On behalf of Brazil, but certainly reflecting the common sense in the room, I would like once again to welcome the African Union as a full-fledged member of the G20. Ladies and gentlemen, as extensively discussed in today's session, Brazil's G20 chairship will focus on 3 general priorities. First, to foster social inclusion and fight poverty and hunger. Second, to promote energy transitions and sustainable development in its all 3 pillars, the economic, social, environmental, and to advance the reform of global governance institutions. These 3 priorities echoes Brazil's ambition to build a just world and a sustainable planet, the motto of our G20 presidency. In terms of working methods, Brazil intends to bring to the 2 tracks of the group, the Sherpa and the finance tracks, closer together. This reflects our view that discussions on policy and on macroeconomics coordination should go hand in hand. Brazil also wants to foster the dialogue with civil society and its participation in the activities of the group. A G20 social forum to take place in Rio de Janeiro in the days preceding the Leaders' Summit will bring together representatives of the existing engagement groups and other segments of civil society that may offer meaningful contributions to the G20. The global community is facing several overlapping crises. Ongoing conflicts in different parts of the world demand our diplomatic efforts in a scale unseen in the recent past. The climate crisis is an ever-growing concern for all of us. With record high temperatures being registered this year in many countries, including in Brazil. At the same time, inequality and poverty persists, makes it increasingly difficult for us to fulfill our promise of leaving no one behind. Sadly, human beings are being left behind, and the climate emergency will only exacerbate this problem as the poorest will suffer the most. This is not acceptable by any standards. Brazil is a large developing country with no geopolitical quarrels. A cultural mix bridging America, Africa, Europe, and Middle East and the Far East, all living in peace and cohesion. A large agricultural exporter, and yet one of the countries with the largest share of native forests is still standing, We also have unique credentials regarding peace and security. Our region, Latin America, opted for peace, for denuclearization, for cooperation instead of zero-sum games. We have a century-old tradition of solving our issues through diplomacy and negotiation. Holding the G20 presidency, we do not plan to solve the problems of the world. Our plan is to present you with a set of good starting points, and we are ready to give our share of contributions. During our chairship, we will work to build consensus within the group, listening to all members and seeking a high level of ambition for a result-oriented G20. Count on Brazil as chair country for the year ahead. And I'm very glad also to confirm to you today that President Lula will be coming in the morning to deliver his message to you all on the last day of the meeting. And I thank you very much.